Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Stay. This is Coloring Bliss. I have a sweet little Rose back there. She's got quite a little hairdo going on today. It's her top knot is sort of hanging down over her face today. And she's here to help me as we review a product that you have requested that I show on our channel and talk about. That is the Kalour color pencils. This is what I purchased. We're going to talk about all the different variations there are under the Kalour name. And what we're going to do today, my plan is to swatch them and then color with them. And there's going to be timestamps on this video because this is going to be a long one. So if you would just like to color along with me, then you can skip ahead to where I start coloring, or you can hang out with me at the beginning of the video where we're going to do first impressions and swatching and then choosing colors and diving into the coloring experience. We have so much to do today, but before we get started, I want to show you some brand new coloring pages that we are adding to the premium library. All right, I'm really excited because the premium library, where we have just amazing coloring pages and resources for you, has had a sort of epic birthday. It has crossed over to 900 resources and coloring pages. That's amazing. I can't believe that we have that many things there for you in that premium library. To get access to the premium library and these new coloring pages that I'm about to show you, these two right here, all you need to do is become a paid member over at Coloring Bliss. At minimum, it's only $5 a month, and you can cancel anytime. And like I said, with that $5, you get access to 900 awesome coloring pages and resources, and these are two brand new ones to celebrate the new year. This one here is because it's the Chinese year of the dragon, so we have a little dragon holding the present that says 2024, so that's a fun way to celebrate. And then we have this one, which the clock is just about ready to hit to the midnight mark and celebrate the happy new year. It's pretty cool. Now we also have free coloring pages. We take care of everyone over at Coloring Bliss, so come on over and at least become a free member so that you are up to date on future giveaways and all of our new resources. But it's really a great idea to be a free member. And this one right here, I think we're going to make permanently free. Usually for New Year's or other holidays, we have coloring pages that we do just temporarily free. But because I'm going to color this one today, and I want it to be something that you can color along with me even in the middle of summer if you want to, this one will be permanently in the free library. And this is A Kiss to Build a Dream On. We've got two cute little gnomes sitting here watching the fireworks. This is what we're going to color today. And then this one is free for a limited time to celebrate New Year. So come on over to coloringbliss.com and get your beautiful coloring pages. All right, this is the set of Kalour pencils that I chose. Now, when you go search Kalour on Amazon, there are so many options. I found everything from a 50-piece tin with just pastels for just $18, all the way up to a 300 pencil set that was $50 that was in a tin. And then they have several different sets that come in cases like this. I have questions about Kalour, and I want you to comment below if you know the answers to them. The first question is there an overall color system that reaches across all these different sets? Or is every set different, has different colors in it? That's one of my biggest questions. The other thing is sometimes the pencils are called premium, sometimes they're called professional. Is that indicating that those are two different lines of pencils, or are they just using the same sort of words to describe all of their pencils? I don't know the answers to these questions. I know that these are, I believe, made in China. Let's double check. Yep, made in China. And this particular set has 72 pencils plus a case, and I only paid $19 for this on a Black Friday deal. Right now, this is the end of December 2024. You can get this set. 2023. I keep doing that. I keep skipping ahead to 2024.
You're like ready for 2024.
I am ready. But this one here, as of 2023, end of December, is $26. So still a really good value when you take into account you're getting 72 pencils and a case. And the reason I'm doing this video at all is because I've been told by a lot of you that the Kalour pencils are amazing and really fun to work with. So that's why we're here today. So let's open this up. I do have Steve here with me. He is my business partner and husband. You heard his voice a minute ago. Get rid of that.
Get that away from Rose.
Yeah, Rose hates that stuff. Okay, let's see. We've got a nice little handle on this case right here. We've got a pocket that I can slip a swatch chart or maybe a little color wheel in there if I want to. And then the zipper, this case opens a little differently. It doesn't open like a book so much. Oh, well, that's fun. So it's sort of, instead of oriented this way, it's oriented this way. Okay. Oh, and it comes with a little pencil sharpener. We'll definitely test this out. I don't have high hopes for it. It doesn't, the blade doesn't say made in Germany. So this is probably just a little sharpener made in China that they've included. And we'll test it out and see how it goes as we're coloring. Now we've also got the Kalour tutorial here. Ooh, with all kinds of color theory and color techniques. Stippling and hatching and scumbling and wow, lots of things. Oh, and here is a step-by-step so that you can learn how to use your pencils. That's a fun thing that they've added in here. And then we have a full swatch chart. Now, the first thing that jumps out at me is that they've got a number and a name for every pencil. So, well done, Kalour. And then they have a little indicators, I believe, that that is for their light fast rating. Do we trust their light fast rating? No, I wouldn't trust their light fast rating. If I was a professional artist who's getting paid to do a portrait, would I use these pencils and trust these light fast ratings? No. Light fast means it's been tested in some way to tell you that this color right here, ultramarine, has 5 plus marks, so it's going to last under bright lights for a really long time. Usually when we're talking about companies like Caran d'Ache or Derwent, they're talking about 100 years in a museum it will last. Would I think that a Chinese-made company would put in the time and the money it takes to get all of these pencils tested accurately? I don't think so.
$26.
And sell it, well, I got it for $19. So these I would put into a hobby category just because of that, not a professional category. But that doesn't mean they're bad. We haven't tested them. We don't know how they feel. Are they creamy? Are they hard like Faber-Castell? I have so many questions, but I am excited to see that they have a name and a number for every color. And let's take a look in here what we've got. Our first glance. We've got reds and yellows, more into the greens and blues, and some violets, a couple little pastel colors there for maybe skin tones. I don't understand the way they've organized their pencils here. It's not by the color wheel. I'm not seeing, they've got some grays. Looks like we've got some metallics here, just judging by the shiny body on the pencil. They're just not organized well at all. We've got a black and a white, and I am not going to be able to swatch this until I get it into at least some kind of order. I'm not going to be picky, but I'm at least going to try to get all the yellows together, all the blues together, all the reds together. You guys get what I mean. So give me a few minutes. I'm going to reorganize these just really rough and quick, and then we'll swatch them and get my very first impression of the Kalour pencils. Alright, I've got them into a rough order, and for swatching I'm going to be working in Volume 1 Swatch Bliss. This book is printed on color pencil paper and has space for 3,600 swatches, or 60 swatches per page. It's amazing, and it's getting very full with all my different swatches. So I'm going to switch back here towards the back where I've got a nice big blank page. It's going to take 2 pages for us to fill this out, and I'm excited to see how the colors lay down. I think I'll just write down the color number, not the name, just for time's sake, and we'll get this all swatched out. Alright, we've got the swatch chart all set up, and it looks like we've got 6 or 7 metallics that we get to swatch. And so far I'm really happy with the numbering. There's no really logical numbering, but it's relatively easy to read the numbers. Let me bring up a pencil here. We'll just grab a blue, and I'll let you take a quick look at the pencil. It says... oh, there, it's focusing. This one is ink blue. It's got 5 stars. The number is 095. It's got metallic behind the numbers, and all of the lettering is in a silver metallic. You guys know how I feel about this. I'd rather them just use a matte black, big, bold print on the pencils. They could do fancy metallics for their names and stuff, but when it comes to the information that I need to quickly read, I'd much rather have them do black, just a plain black. Now, this one is ink blue 095. So if you have a different set of Kalour, you could compare and see if it's the same name and number as it is in your set. Comment below. Now it's time to begin swatching, and I wanted to mention that we are not sponsored by Kalour. I purchased this set with my own money because you, my awesome viewers, recommended it to me. So let's start with number 046 and see how it feels. As I'm swatching my brand new Kalour 72 set, I'm looking for a few things to get my very first general impression of these new pencils. First off, I want to know how they feel. Are they slick and smooth, or are they more creamy and sticky? I want to know, second of all, are the pencils centered? And as I'm swatching, if I come across one that feels a little off-centered or really off-centered, I usually sharpen up the pencil just to make sure it wasn't a sharpening issue from the manufacturer. But overall, I want to know if these pencils are centered well so we can get good use out of the whole pencil. Next up, number 3, I'm looking for crumbs. Is there a lot of crumbs? Normal amount of crumbs? No crumbs? How are the crumbs? Fourth, I'm looking for overall color balance of the whole set. Do we have a lot of reds and not very many greens? Do we have good skin tones? Are the metallics really that shiny? All those things I'm looking for. 5, I'm looking for general issues for the pencils. For instance, does the color that I color down match the body of the pencils? Do they feel good in the hand? Do they color across the page and not break the tips? If so, if they are breaking, how often do they break? These are the kinds of general issues I'm looking for as I'm making my first impressions of a set of pencils. Swatching is so important. Not only do I love doing it, but it really teaches you a lot about the pencils you're swatching, and it gets you ready for your coloring page so that you can quickly and easily pick your colors confidently. Did you get your bed fixed up? Do you feel better now? Good girl. Well, the swatching is done, and I'm ready to give you my very first impressions of the Kalour pencils before we dive in and start coloring a coloring page. First off, I like the case. I like how small and compact it is. The zippers work really well. When you move through the case, it's really easy to get the pencils in and out. I like how there's 12 pencils to a page. That makes a lot of sense to me, and it works well with my swatching system where you have 6 swatches per row, so 2 rows and you've got 1 page done. It just makes logical sense to me. I like that the little sharpener fits right here on that that elastic loop. Let me show that to you right there. So that's really good. I've used the sharpener several times, maybe 8 or 10 times now, and it feels like just a cheap sharpener, but it'll do the job. For instance, if you took this little case with you into a doctor's office to color while you're waiting for your turn, it would work great because it has a case to hold the shavings off of the pencils. So yeah, the case is great. I put the little swatch chart it came with and the coloring instructions, the tutorial, up in the front pocket. Nothing to complain about so far with this case. Now I did want to mention that they have 2 colors available with this case, and I purchased the pink. I believe there was a blue available as well. All right, now let's take a look at the swatches and see how we feel about the swatches. Let's start with the overall feel of the pencils. I was feeling like they feel a little more like a Polychromos pencil than they do a Prismacolor. So we've got a slick, more oily feeling pencil going on. So I felt like they felt really good. None of them felt gritty or there wasn't any problem coloring down. I was able to get a nice dark end here with my swatch and a nice light end with my swatch. I didn't feel like the tip was wearing down too quickly. It just felt good overall. The pencils themselves were not super centered. There were at least 8 that I felt like were really off, and I was going to have to babysit them as the years go by as I'm using these pencils. For instance, number 42, I put a little asterisk next to any of the pencils that I felt were off-centered. This is number 42, light orange yellow, and I'm hoping you can see, let me get it up here on the camera. I'm hoping you can see how off-centered it is. See how low the core is here and how high the wood comes on the core on the other side. And I did sharpen this pencil up to make sure it wasn't just sharpened incorrectly at the manufacturer. It's off-centered. We'd be able to tell if the back end of the pencils weren't covered in paint, but they are. So yeah, we just have to tell by how they feel and how they perform. But there were about 8 of them that had off-centered issues that were dramatic enough that I gave them an asterisk. And some of them were off-centered just slightly, and that doesn't bother me as much as these ones that were off-centered enough that when you sharpen them, you're going to have to babysit them a little bit. Next up was crumbs, and I felt like these were really good. There was a little crumbs, but not so many that I felt like I was blowing all the time to get the crumbs off. So as far as the crumb issues go, they were really, really good. Now the next one is color balance. How do we feel about the color story that they've given us in this set of 72? We've got every color on the color wheel represented, and then we have some nice neutrals. Usually I work the neutrals up and into their undertone family, but this time I put all of the neutral, sort of leathery, earthy type colors together to see how they looked. And I think you could get a skin tone off of them. This one, the number 197, the tip broke when I was coloring with them. When I swatch, I always do heavy pressure on one end and really light pressure on the other. Gives you a full spectrum of what that pencil can do. And when I was doing the heavy pressure on this side, the tip broke. But this was the only pencil that I had a tip break on me. So that's not too bad, but I thought I would mention it. Now over here we have our metallics. That's this whole row plus this one right here. And I'm going to move it in the light and see if they have any shine or sparkle to them. I am not seeing, maybe in the really burnished area of the silver there's a little bit of shine, but the other ones, I mean, black here is not a metallic, and it's got as much shine as some of these metallics up above. So I'm not super impressed with the metallics. They do have a full set of metallics that you can purchase, and if this is a sample of what's in that set, I don't know if I'd be too excited about it if I purchased it, because they're pretty jewel tone type colors, all mid mid-tone pretty colors, but not anything that shines and really gives me that bling effect that I'm looking for in a metallic pencil. This is the white right here. And what I did for the white is I laid down some black ink from an alcohol marker, and then I put the white on top to see how opaque it is, and it's decent. It would probably rate in the middle of all of our other white pencils. Nothing really amazing, but not very translucent either. So as you need a white pencil to help tint down colors or use it for blending out colors, I think this one will work well for you and you won't be too upset about it. But for adding highlights on something, I think you would want to reach for a different white pencil, like the Chinese white in the Derwent drawing set is a beautiful white. The Holbein soft white is another beautiful white. All right, so general issues. This pencil here, it didn't sharpen well and it was off-centered. Again, the metallics I think are disappointing, but the colors are vibrant and pretty and fun, and I feel like you could do a lot of different things. Lots of purples in here to work with. In fact, I kind of feel like they were a little too heavy in the purple area, but purple is my favorite color, so I'm not going to be angry at them for that. So yeah, I feel good about these pencils, and I think the next thing we need to do is color with them to see how they perform. And for that, I've got this coloring page right here printed off onto my color pencil paper that I love so much. I'm going to put a link to that paper in the video description. And right now coming up on your screen is the finished version of this page. I haven't seen it yet, obviously. You are jumping forward in time seeing this finished page. But I wanted you to get an idea of where we're headed if you decide to color along with me. What I like to do is keep a separate list, so I'll have a separate piece of paper where I can keep a list of all of the colors and all of the tools that I use. And I'm also going to mark down the color scheme I choose. You're going to help me pick the color scheme here in just a minute. So you'll have the benefit of all of that information that I don't have at this point. And as I color along, I'll share with you tips and ideas, and hopefully this will give you a little feel for how my real-time color alongs work over at coloringbliss.com, where we have a whole bunch of these real-time color alongs that you can do with me. But I wanted to give you here at YouTube a little taste of what a real-time color along is like. And also, I usually tell you at the end how much time I actually spend on the coloring page, because there will be a little skipping around. And I want you to know in real life, did this take me 1 hour? Did it take me 3 hours? That kind of information is really important to me when I do a follow along art type tutorial with other artists here on YouTube. All right, now I've got little snoring Rose back here. I'm going to take a little break, go get my lunch, and then come back and start coloring. And we're going to start by picking a color scheme. All right, Rose and I are back. We both had our lunch, and now we're going to pick some colors. And while I was eating, I was kind of pondering the coloring page and trying to think through what kind of color scheme do I want to do. Really, really colorful, more analogous. Also, you want to kind of keep in mind the pencil colors that you have so that you can play to the strengths of the tools that you have. To help me pick my colors, I have the Quick Color Picker. This is the full color reference guide to help you pick color schemes quickly, and it's so helpful for things like this. So I have videos where I explain how this whole system works. This book here you can purchase from coloringbliss.com, or you can get a download, a digital download. There's all kinds of options, so I'll have Steve put a link to both this book and the videos where we talk about them. So I'm going to flip to red to start my color thoughts here. And the reason is I was thinking that all the reds and the violets, could they be a good analogous color scheme. So I just want to start with red and see how I feel on this page. Now, I think there's a newer version of this book that has a lot more options than what I have here. So if you decide to purchase it, you'll have even more beautiful colors to pick from. But I'm pretty happy with what I have right here, and I want something that feels cool. And there, obviously it's the night, it's midnight, so how do we express that? We've got fireworks in the background that we get to color. They'll probably use a gel pen or something for that. I don't know yet. Like I said, you know better than me because you have all of the finished product and the notes that come along with this color along. So I'm wondering about like something that has red and blue, or something that has like the analogous color schemes like this up here, or we could do red and red violet and red orange. These are all very warm colors. Red is a warm color, and where I was thinking more like cools and an evening type feel, then maybe red isn't what I want. Let's look at green and see if any of those color schemes. The reason I'm starting with red and green is because I'm kind of in a Christmassy mood right now. Okay, so here's red and green. They're complementary colors. This analogous color scheme here is really interesting. Green, and blue. That would have us playing in this area here, would be all of these colors. Would give us a good analogous color scheme. Yeah, let me have just a minute to ponder what I want to do, and then I'll tell you what I picked. Alright, I think I've decided. I'm going to go for this color scheme right here. And my eyes kept going back to these three colors, blue-green, blue, and blue-violet. And I think when I need a pop of a warm color, we'll go for the complementary of this analogous, which would be an orangey pop. So if you look at her outfit, we can do orange on her little tulips on her apron. We could do an orangey brown type color for her hair. Same with over here, the belt can be an orangey brown color. But then all the other pieces of the two gnomes can be in the blue, green, blue, and blue-violet land. And then back here for the fireworks, we can use an orangey gold gel pen to really bring out those fireworks with a nice dark sky. I like it. I think that feels really cohesive and calm and like dark for the evening, but yet we'll have that pop of color. So I think that will feel like a really good color scheme. So let me write down that color scheme so that we can remember what we're going to do. Okay, I've pulled the 4 colors that are going to represent the main colors for our 4 different colors in the complementary analogous color scheme. This orange is really vibrant. I think I want to pick something that's a little more dulled down. So I'm going to grab this 36 because I think it will work a little better for hair and still give us that orangey vibe. So I have those 2 colors started. There was also that orange back here on the metallics, and because it's not too metallic, I think I can just incorporate it and use it in with my oranges. So that'll give me like 3 different shades of orange to play with. So I like that. Blue-green, again we have this metallic blue-green that's awfully close to that one. So I'm going to pick a few other blue-greens, blues, and blue-violets to sort of fill out the color story and give me more options. And I'm going to write some numbers on here, and then I'll have all my pencil options. Instead of having 72 to pick from, I'll have it narrowed down to a much easier, more manageable group of pencils, and then we can start coloring it, and I'll list over here the actual colors that I end up using as we go along. Alright, I grabbed my pencil tool tray here that my son made me years ago in pottery class, and that will help keep my pencils handy and a little bit more organized. I think I can set the swatch chart to the side now, and we've picked our color scheme, so I can move this book out of the way, and now we get to choose where to begin. I think I want to do her in some blue violets, so let's do her dress and her apron and her hat first. That will be a good place to begin. So we kind of have a good light, medium, and dark going on here. It's not the best light, medium, and dark ever. If I had the bigger sets of Kalour, I'm sure we would be able to come up with even better trios. But for my blue violet, I think we'll do 152 for light, 158 for mid-tone, and 87 for the dark. So let's go ahead and write those three down as the first ones that we're going to use, so that if you're coloring along with your Kalour pencils, you will know which ones to grab. Now, if you don't have Kalour, maybe you've got Prismacolor or Castle Art, Crayola, then what we've done here is just pick out the best trio that we can for blue violet. So the best light, medium, and dark. If you don't have a color wheel, you may want to get one. It helps a lot with finding what blue violet is. What's blue violet compared to violet? That kind of decision, color wheel will help. Which leans blue violet. And this one right here is more of a violet, but it's the best trio that we can come up with here. Okay. So let's grab the lightest color, and I'm going to make her dress sort of overall the lightest of the purples. And so the way I'm going to start this out is color up her whole dress with my lightest color for this trio, which is my light purple number 152. So I will go ahead and fast forward through this so you don't have to sit here and watch me just color with one pencil. Remember, as you're watching a video like this, if it's a color along, and if there are spots where you're feeling like you're getting behind, please, and the whole point here is for you to be able to pause, rewind, fast forward, take a break for a little while, whatever you need to do. That's what these color alongs are so good for. So as I fast forward through this step, don't hesitate to pause or do whatever you need to do as we're coloring together. Okay, we have her violet outfit started. Just a very light pressure. Remember, we have printed this coloring page on a paper that works good for color pencils, which, if you're not familiar with what that means, a color pencil paper will have a tooth or a texture to it so that it can grab onto the dry medium of color pencil and have lots of space for lots of layering. So this paper will give these pencils the best advantage possible versus a smooth paper which doesn't have as much tooth or texture or hills and valleys, then there's fewer layers that you can lay down onto that and you get a different look. Now I know there are some artists that love using a smoother paper for their color pencils. It's just up to your style of coloring and what kind of outlook or finished look you want when you are working on a coloring page like this. All right, let's go for a decision now. We need to make a big decision, and that is our light source. Where do we want our shadows and our highlights? How do we want to control that? For me, I almost always pick a top right light source, especially if I'm testing out a new color tool. I want to have as much comfort zone as possible as I'm working on a new tool. So I'm going to go for a top right light source. We have some light coming from the fireworks outside, which would be fun to try to put on our little characters here, but I don't know if I want to play around with such a light source challenge as that when I'm trying to learn how to use a new set of tools. So let's just stick with a top right light source. Maybe it's coming from a glowing clock. This clock up here, I don't know. Let's go for it for this direction though. So if the light is coming down here, then all along here is the brightest part of our object, right along here. So back here is where our shadows are going to start being built. And I am using pale purple number 158, and then we'll go into ultramarine to help with those shadows. So let me sharpen this up. I'm using my X-Acto School Pro pencil sharpener today instead of that hand one because it's just faster. And I usually reserve hand sharpeners for my very expensive, much more delicate color pencils. Okay, come around this side of her hat, give it a nice shadow there. So I'm going to go through each part of her dress and make lighting decisions. I think I'll expand this out a little bit farther, like that. I'm coloring in small circles right now. Sometimes I color in straight lines, sometimes I color in small circles. Almost always I'm coloring with very light pressure so that I don't squash all that texture of the paper that we just talked about. I want to keep that texture intact for as long as possible. Now I'm going to use this one is an off-centered pencil. I'll show you how off-centered is. See that side, how high the wood is compared to the other side? So that's very frustrating. That means I'm going to be sharpening it more often than what I like. Now I'm using more medium pressure, and it's mainly because these Kalour pencils I'm feeling like needs a little bit more pressure to get the color payoff that I'm hoping for. Okay. Now when you're making shadow and highlight decisions, it's really up to you how dramatic you want those colors to be. And basically what we're working through right now is something called Jennifer's rule of blending thirds. And it's a way of layering your color pencils so that you get the most out of your pencils and they blend together just beautifully. I am looking for a brush to get rid of these crumbs. I'm not seeing my normal brush. Oh, I know where it is. Okay. I'm prepping for teaching another class for our website, and I've pulled a bunch of supplies off to the side for it. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to go back to my midtone now. So we did light, we did medium, and then we did the darkest areas. Now I'm going back to the mid-tone, and I'm going to smooth out the transitions between the dark and the mid-tone. And I am having to use a little bit more pressure than I usually do, say with my Prismacolors, to get it to smooth out the way I want. And there's lots of options with coloring with color pencils. For instance, we could do odorless mineral spirits or other kinds of solvents like alcohol, rubbing alcohol. There's a lot of options. But today I'm going to try to keep it just true to the Kalour pencils. I've moved now back to my lightest color, light purple 152, and I am smoothing out now the transition between the dark and the mid to where our light is. And the majority of this, I want it to be this bright, light purple. In fact, I could grab our white. Let me get that white pencil. Sharpen it up. This one is very off-centered too. It is a shame how many of them are off-centered. I'm going to use the white to help blend out this brightest part right here. And what that does is it creates a tint. A tint is a color plus white. Our beloved pastel colors are tints. Sometimes the pastels are also tones, which is a color plus a gray. Okay, remove the dust. And there's her hat. I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. Very soft transition between all of those colors. Okay, I used white, so I'm going to put white down here. Number 204. White. Okay, so I'm going to make some of the same decisions now on the dress. The dress is much more complicated. We have some gathers or some pleating here of the fabrics. We have her hair that would cast a shadow onto her clothes. So we're just going to have to go kind of slowly through this. So I've got my mid-tone. We've already colored with our lightest. Now we move to our mid-tone color, and we start making these decisions. Like this would have a shadow right here. Let me turn to this view for you. She'd have a shadow on her shoulder from her hair. If you want more help with learning how to color shadows and highlights and how to choose where all that goes, how to puzzle it all out, it's a very complicated skill that you have to practice. If you want more help with that skill, I have a lighting workshop on our website where we train and practice this skill. And I have some tools that come along with that workshop. It's a really fun workshop, and it will give you a great opportunity to practice and get better at your choices of where your shadows and highlights go. So I'll put a link in the video to our lighting workshop, and you can consider taking that class. Sometimes I make a quick decision with these shadows and I go, oops, that probably wasn't right. But because we're making the first decisions with the shadows using our mid-tone, not our darkest pencil, we can adjust those decisions as we go if we feel like we made a mistake. I'm going to sharpen it up. Okay, now the darkest pencil, which is our ultramarine. This is where you really want to make the best decisions. And oh, that pencil is so off-centered. Okay, that's our darkest. There's a nice dark shadow. Here's another nice dark shadow right in here. You imagine the light coming down like this and how much trouble the light would have getting in here. That's kind of what we're establishing, is where the light travels on our 3D characters. I think I'll leave that a little brighter. A little dark spot right there. Dark underneath her apron, that would cast a shadow. Really dark down here inside her skirt, that second layer of fabric. In fact, I'm going to grab my darkest gray to help with that shadow. I'm not going to go full on black. I'm going to go for our dark gray color, which is number 200. I'm going to take that dark gray and layer it in with really light pressure here. Finish up that dark gray all the way through here, layered up with our ultramarine color. Okay, that'll give it a nice dark shadow. Let me give you that perspective so you can see where we're at. Okay. Now we're still using ultramarine. We're making our final shadow decisions here. The bow would cast a shadow. Right here, there's a shadow. Sharpen that ultramarine again. It's the problem with off-centered pencils, is they get sharpened more. Go through them a little faster, and I often break the tips a little easier too. Okay, let's go back to our mid-tone purple, which is pale purple. And we're going to soften that transition between our darkest purple and the lightest purple. Just soften it with light to mid pressure. If you have trouble with maintaining light pressure with your pencils, you are not alone. When I first started coloring, I had to retrain my grip so that I wouldn't, I call it death grip, the pencils. So the best way to retrain is to slide your hand back on the pencil to the middle, or even a little bit farther if you really need the training. And that automatically forces your hand to go lighter. It's a little harder to control, which slows you down and makes you be a little more precise and careful and lighter pressure. And then as you get better at this, you'll be able to move your hand back down. So I'm just working around the dress, smoothing out all those transitions. And we may come back at the very end and add some white highlights or we may add yellow highlights because it's more of a moody feel here that we're trying to accomplish. Okay, now we're back to our lightest pencil, which in this set what I'm using is light purple. And we can use our white to smooth out some of those areas and give us that brighter highlight in these areas here. Where the light, if you imagine the light coming down, you can figure out where your lightest highlights would be. Like right here on the cuff of her sleeve, there's really nothing interfering with the light. Smooth all this out. Okay, I'm just going to keep smoothing out. I'll be back in a second. All right, now we get to choose what color her apron and like the ruffle on her hat it's going to be, the bow, and I'm kind of being drawn to the blue-green. It's farther away on the color wheel than the blue. On the color wheel it goes blue-green, blue, blue-violet, like that. And if you have it, the two colors farther away next to each other, there'll be a little bit more contrast. It'll stand out a little bit more. So let's grab the blue-green colors. And I'm going to put the violet colors back here, and the white and the gray right there, so they're handy and ready. And we're going to probably go for, we really only have a light and a medium. This is another medium, but it's more of a green blue-green. This is more of a blue-blue-green, which matches this color a lot better. So let's go for these two colors first, and I'll put this green blue-green in hold to be used somewhere else. So we're going to use number 88, pale blue. And number 111, teal. Those two go together well. And we're going to basically do the same thing as the rule of thirds that we just did here, only we have just two pencils to work with. If I feel like I need something a lot darker, we can reach for our gray and use that in the shadows. But basically we're going to color everything first layer with the lightest color, and I'll be right back. Alright, now we'll use our darker blue-green color, which for me is teal, and we'll start establishing shadows using the same light source that we used on her dress. So just make some color decisions. This ruffle will be a little tricky. We want to put the shadows next to the high points of that ruffle. This pencil's a little scratchier than some of the others. You can hear it more than the other pencils. Alright, let's see, there'll be a shadow right here next to her sleeve, a shadow right here next to the bow. The bow's going to have a shadow down inside the loop that needs to be a little bit darker. So let's grab our gray again. And work in a little gray so it feels like a really dark spot. Right here. This part of her bow wouldn't be quite so dark. Up here next to the knot would be dark. Below the knot would be dark. This ribbon that is behind that ribbon would be darker. This twist would be darker. Same with this twist. And maybe a little dark on this edge to give it a little interest. Okay, that bow was tricky, but we got it. I'm going to sharpen my pencil. A sharp pencil is an easier pencil to color with when it comes to details. If you're coloring a really large, just flat area, you can get away with a dull pencil for a little while, but you'll find you'll actually use less pencil if you keep it sharp. Okay, and then right under here we have a little shadow. This side would be in shadow. Like that. Then we were doing our shoes in the same blue-green color. So the light would come down. There would be a shadow here. I think we'll do the sole of her shoe just straight up gray. Nothing too fancy there. I'm going to go over it with the dark green, blue-green I mean, to give it just a little interest so it's not just a flat gray. That'll be pretty. Okay, back to shading her shoe. This would have a shadow, maybe a shadow right in here. Something like that. That works pretty good. This part of the bow would have a bit of a shadow too. I'm going to use a little gray right here on that back ribbon. Just a little gray. Okay, we're making good progress. Now we can go back to our light blue-green color and start smoothing out the transitions. Okay. Use my white to tint right here. Give it a nice bright feel. Same with right at the top of these little ruffles on this flounce on her hat. Okay. So again, what we're doing is just going through and smoothing out the transitions between the dark, shadowy areas and the color of the actual object. And any really bright areas, I'm using white to smooth those transitions out and give us a really nice, really tinted down version of our lightest blue-green color. I need to sharpen this white again because it's off-centered. There, it sharpened up a little better that time. Okay. I'm kind of taking my time and not doing a lot of time lapses here with you on her because it's the same rules when we move over to him. The same steps to get a nice blend between your highlights and your shadows. So we'll probably do more fast forwarding and time lapsing on him. Okay, I think she's looking pretty good. Now we have, ooh, I just thought of a really good way to use this green, blue-green on her little leaves here. Oh, and we have a broken tip. Okay, that's good to note as we're testing these colors. Okay, hopefully that's the only break we're going to have here. Okay, so I'm going to color these leaves. I'm not going to do shading on them because we only have the one pencil. And it's such a small little area. It's like, why bother with some extra shading? No one's really going to notice. Okay, so we used the green, blue, green. That worked out well. That's number 113 aqua green. Okay, and then for her little flowers, I think picking two different oranges would look really pretty. And I'm thinking 36 and 207. 36 and 207. Let's get those colors listed. That's 207. The name of it is Metallic Orange. Yep. And then we're going to use 036, which is dark yellow. So far, I think the pencils match the color of the body really well. It's not too far off that you're like, what were they thinking? Okay, light source coming down. So we'll do light and then dark. Like I said, in these tiny areas, using two different pencils doesn't always show up, so we'll just do our best. Okay, there's our first pop from that complementary color we picked. And I think it looks really good. I like her outfit. It's really cute. Okay, we'll save the hair and the skin for when we're ready to do him as well. Let's get his outfit going. And the one color we haven't used yet is blue. And I'm thinking blue would be perfect for the stripes on his shirt. So we have 3 blues here. The 90 and the 84, you know, we kind of have a light, medium, and dark, but this dark blue is not that great. I think we should stick with 82 and 84 or 82 and 90 and not try to do a 3-color blend because there's not enough difference in the value of these 3 colors to make a 3-color blend worth it. So let's go for 82 and 84. 84, 82, and we'll set 90 to the side. Okay, and I think what we'll do, oh, let's write those colors down. That is 84 blue. And this one here is cerulean blue, 082. And I need to practice writing cerulean. Cerulean. Is it cerulean? Cerulean? Okay, so what we're going to do is every other stripe, the color. So we'll what's the word? Alternate between the 2 blues across his whole shirt, and then we'll use our gray to add a little shading. So I'll just go ahead and time lapse coloring out the stripes. Alright, let's add a little shading now using our gray. Just right on top of both layers. This gray is kind of reading a little greenish when it starts mixing in with these cool colors. And that's okay for us for our color scheme because we have a blue-green color. Okay, that looks good. Oh, he's charming. He's got a little New Year's card for his girlfriend here in his back pocket. Okay. I'm liking that. Now we have this part of his shirt, which I wish we had a really light blue. I guess we could steal the light blue from there. No, we're going to just go for this. We're going to use our light blue, cerulean blue, and do the same rules as what we practiced on the girl gnome. Color the whole area in your lightest color first. Oh, it'd be cute if this was darker. Yeah, I like that. And then add shading with our darker blue. Just like that. Then back to our lighter blue to smooth out the transitions. We could grab our white if we wanted to. Oh, let's add a little shadow under his arm here. That, give it a little dimension. Okay, and then here on his blue cuff, we'll add a little gray to just give it a little shading there as well. Okay, I love his shirt, love it. Now for his hat and his pants and his shoes. I know we want to use some of this orange as well, like on his belt. So his pants and his hat, this could also be that orangey color from the belt, but we were going to have fireworks going off right next to it, and I don't want to fight that firework with another orange color up here. So let's make his hat light blue. Let's go dark blue with his hat, and then make this band on his hat be light blue. So I'm going to color the first layer on his hat with the blue color 084. And I'm also going to color this using the light blue color, which is 082 cerulean blue. Okay, so I'll just time lapse me filling in that color, and then we'll come back and do shading together. Okay, let's get some shading going on now. Whoops, dark. So I'm using my blue, number 84. We don't want this hat to look like it's got a hole on the top. Okay, and this back side would be darker. We'll probably end up using some gray to help us get that shadow right back here. Get rid of some of the white of the paper by using another layer, using light to medium pressure. And then let's use a little bit of the light blue, the cerulean, up front here, where the light would be hitting it. This is quite the hat. Let's start working in some of that gray, and we can go over the top of the gray with more blue if we need to. That's looking better. and under the ribbon on his hat. And the back of the brim. Okay, now we are going to smooth out that transition with the gray and the blue using medium pressure here now. Really bring in that blue. That's looking better. Cerulean, just to smooth that transition some more. Use some medium pressure right up here. It's pretty combination. Let's sharpen the cerulean. Work some of that cerulean up top. Woo! Hitting some scratchy spots on this pencil. Alright, I like that. It's overall the dark blue color, but the highlights are the light cerulean blue color. And then we'll do opposite here. We'll use a little bit of our blue color to create a shadow right behind this button and the back of the ribbon. Like that. And then back to the cerulean. In fact, I think I'll use a little white in the middle of the ribbon to tint that down and brighten up the blue of the ribbon on the button too. Okay, now this part of the hat, again I'm using blue to smooth the transition of the grays. And then bring in the cerulean. For the lighter parts. Try a little white right here. I don't hate it, I don't like it though. Let's go back to blue to keep smoothing out that gray. And the cerulean to make the transition. Medium to heavy pressure now, just with the cerulean to smooth things out. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm liking it. And it looks like the same light is hitting her as it is him. So that's good. All right, we have the shirt done. We have, sorry, it's just being a little fussy there. We need to do his pants now. And I think, seeing as we've done all blue, we could do blue-green, we could bring in the violet. Let's do blue-green. and keep the violet for her and the blue for him. So our blue-green colors were pale blue, teal, and aqua green. Pale blue, teal, and aqua green. And the aqua green was the green that we used here. So I'm going to put that away, and we'll just use the pale blue and the teal that we used before. That's one of the things that's so great about creating a chart like this, is it becomes a recipe to remind you of what colors you should go back and grab the next time you want to do the same color combination. You don't have to fish around and figure it out. It's just right there for you. All right, you know the drill. First step is we're going to take the lightest color. For me, it's pale blue, number 88, and color in the whole area that we're working with. On the belt, we're going to do the orangey color, and we'll give him pale blue shoes, or blue-green shoes, just like hers. So they'll be a little matchy-matchy with their shoes. Alright, I've been working on creating the shadows and the highlights of his pants and shoes. So I did shadows on his backside, shadows under this little lip of his pocket, shadows underneath his belt and in his pocket, and shadows behind his beard is where I've chosen to do the shadows. We'll do a little shadow at the base of each of these belt loops, like that. Now we'll bring back our light color, which is pale blue, and keep it sharp because we're doing tiny little details here. Smooth out those transitions. And then if there are any areas where I wish it was a deeper shadow, I'm going to bring in my gray, my dark gray, and just add a little bit of something something right here on his backside. A little something something. Smooth it all out. So hopefully you're starting to get a rhythm for how I work each section. I'm starting, as I'm working here, I'm starting to think about the background, how we're going to do the picture frame and the dark sky with the fireworks. So I'm kind of pondering that as I work. I use my gray for the base of his shoes. And now his belt. I think his pants are looking cute. He needs a belt. And need to decide how we're going to color that little Happy New Year card too. Okay, I'm looking for something that feels orange down here. 99 is jumping out at me as being kind of yellowy orangey. 99. Earth tone it's called. Oh, I don't know. It's kind of greenish. Seeing it here with the color scheme, I'm feeling like it's more of a green. Maybe 183 instead. Yeah, that's much better. So we didn't use this one. Nope. we used this one, which is 183 ochre. Okay, so we're going to use 183 for his belt with a little bit of metallic orange mixed in. Actually, let's dark yellow instead, because it's a small area. We don't have room for a 3-color blend. So let's start with the lightest color, which is 36 dark yellow. I'm trying for like a leather belt kind of look here, an orangey leather. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the dark color, which is that ochre. Give that leather a little dimension. Like that, and it'll mirror back to her tulips or flowers, whatever they are, on her apron. And this would be pretty dark. No light would make it into there. Smooth it out, go back to your light color. Smooth it out. And we have a leather belt. That looks really good together. I'm glad I didn't do that greeny pencil. Okay, that looks like a nice leather belt. Now I kind of wish I had done that in the leather color up here, but like I said, I don't want to distract from the fireworks that we're going to be adding. So, cool, I like it. Now we're to the point where we need to make some hair decisions and some skin tone decisions. We want to go for an orangey color, so I'm wondering about that leather. Yeah, or do we? La, 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 la. We could go for white hair. We could go for gray hair. We could go for the orangey brown hair. I didn't color the little Happy New Year card. I'm going to do that with one of our lightest colors here for the orange, which is number 36, dark yellow. And just colored in really lightly so I don't cover up the words. And then heavy pressure for the border. That's pretty good. I'm wishing there was a little more contrast between the belt and the imitation, so I'm going to take my gray and just right next to the imitation add a little gray shadow so it'll pop out a little bit more, have a little more contrast there. Okay, I like that. This is looking good. I have to make a decision now. I absolutely must. Let's use this as their skin tone, this 162. Let's see what it's called. Here it is. It's called Warm Gray. The reason I'm thinking this one for their skin is because it will leave a cooler skin tone feeling. And we're trying to keep them in cool colors with this analogous part of the analogous complementary color scheme. Okay, darken up some shadows here. So I went really light with the warm gray, and now I'm going heavy pressure to build up the shadows. really light out here on the tip of his nose. And then let me zoom back down. And then use my white to help blend out the tip of his nose. And I haven't decided if I'm in love with this or not yet. And there's one little spot right here that is really in shadow under his nose. I'm going to darken that up with dark gray. Okay. And then his hands are going to be the same deal. Color the whole thing with really light pressure with my warm gray. Oh, and I need to add warm gray on here. This is number 162. Do the same thing up close to his cuff, the back of his hand, the very far side of it gets a shadow, and then medium to light pressure to smooth out the transitions. And then my white pencil out here on the highlight zones to smooth things out. Now, should we do her a different skin tone? We could do that 197. Let's go for it. Her skin tone will be a little bit warmer, but she has barely any skin. And I'd like to see how this color plays out as a skin tone. It's called Orange Sienna. And it's number 197. Okay, let's play and see. Which one did we like better? This is the Orange Sienna now. I'm already liking this one better. Same deal, I colored the whole area light. Now I'm going in with heavy pressure in the shadows. And then medium pressure to make the transition. And then white on the very tip where the light would hit. Okay, that's her nose. Now right here where their hands meet, we'll see the two colors together. Heavy pressure under her cuff of her sleeve. And just a little bit of white in that one spot where the light probably would get to it. Good. And then her leg, I'm just going to color it in. It's too small to do much. Same with over here. Just color it in. Okay, which skin tone do you like better? Comment below. Do you like Orange Sienna or do you like warm gray? We could mix it up and put both together, but I think we'll call it good. The two colors are so similar in value. That's like light to dark. They're like the same. If you squint and look at them, they kind of become the same color. So to try to mix them together, I don't think there's enough contrast, especially in these small areas, to make that worth it. Okay, so we ended up using both for skin tones. Now, hair, we have to make a decision. Or can I put it off just a little longer? Let's put it off just a little bit longer and grab my black. Hi, this is future Jennifer, and I just finished coloring all those windows with the black color pencil. And I just wanted to jump in here and say that if I had to do it over, I think I would have used a black alcohol marker, like a Copic or an Ohuhu or an Olo or a Blick studio marker, something with a nice chisel tip. and I would have colored all of this in with that black. It would have worked out faster and probably better for the next step where I need to put the fireworks on top. So I just wanted to jump in and give you that little bit of knowledge and wisdom that I've just gleaned. I think it looks great with the black color pencil. So if you don't have a black alcohol marker, dive in and do it. But I think it's going to make the firework part harder. We'll find out here as I get into that. But I'll send you back to past Jennifer and use my wisdom and use an alcohol marker for that section. Because I'm thinking... Here we go. We are making the decision that I'm going to color in the window with black and let the areas where the fireworks are happening be empty, of course, because we'll come in with some gold gel pens and fill those in. And I think this will help me make my decision on the hair. Seeing the black. So this is going to take some time. I'm going to keep my pencil nice and sharp. I'm going to go in there and fill it in. I'm not going for a totally speckle-free black. As you can see, we have speckles in the hats and the clothes. So a little bit of speckling I'm okay with. I don't want a lot of speckling, and I want this to feel consistent. So I'm going to try to do consistent strokes as I'm working here and fill it in all the same blackness, if that makes sense. So I'm going to time-lapse this and fill in all the black and keep the crumbs at bay so we don't contaminate anything. And I will be back when the black is filled in. Okay, I've made a decision. This is a pain in the neck to try to color all of the black without covering where the fireworks are. So I think what I'm going to do instead is color in the whole window with black. Just cover it all up and then use like an acrylic paint or something, I haven't decided what, to do the fireworks, and I'll just redraw in the fireworks because this is a pain and the black isn't looking consistent in the areas around where the fireworks are. It's just not working. So we're just going to color the whole thing black. It'll be much easier. Trust me, I think it'll work. You've seen the final one. You know whether it worked or not. So this may be a big mistake, or it may be exactly what I should do. And the other thing is I've decided that the people's hair should be gray. I think it'll look really great next to the black of the window. So let's color in the black of the window, and then we'll come back and we'll do the gray, and then we'll work on the fireworks. Wish me luck. What is it, Rose? Do you want to lay down? You need to lay down. I already gave you a treat. Yep, the treats are over there. One more treat and then you'll lay down. Okay. We've been working here for a while, huh? But you keep taking little breaks and that's good. But I need you to lay down so I can finish coloring. Okay, all done. Lay down. All done. Do you want to get down? Get down? Yeah? Okay. Oh, big girl. She's my good girl. Yeah. Such a good girl. Okay, I just finished coloring the black. Like I said earlier when I popped in, I wish I had used a black alcohol marker. In fact, this is making me wonder if I should use an alcohol marker for the frame and for the background here, because it'll just go faster. But I'm going to make that decision here in a minute. First, I want to work on their hair. For that, we need our other gray. I think we'll use our lightest gray. This one right here. It's called light gray number 192. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that'll be a good gray. 192 light gray. Okay, and we're just going to use the gray to add a little shading. The white is what we want it to be, but I want to add a little shading here and there to give it some dimension. The illustration lines are clues as to where to add your shading, and I'm just going to follow all the same rules. So under his hat brim, the hair would need a bit of a shadow. The back side of their hair need a bit of a shadow. I'm using really light pressure because we're not going to add a whole lot more detail other than these shadows, unless it feels like it needs it. We'll find out here as we work through all these little illustration lines, adding our shadows. Don't forget his beard. Okay, I'm also adding just some texture in here with some gray, some more stripes of their hair so it feels more hair-like. Just like that. Kind of following the illustration lines so the flow looks right. There. Okay, there's their hair. I love it. I love it against the black backdrop. Oh, that's going to be a tricky sentence to keep saying. Okay, so now I need to make a decision on the frame. I think the frame of the window I'm going to go ahead and color this blue-green color. The aqua green. I think it'll fit the picture really well and give a little bit of contrast. I need to be careful not to smear the black or any of it really. And again, this could be something that could be done with alcohol markers, but because my challenge to myself was to use all the Kalour I'm going to try to stick to that, but we'll see here how tired I get. I'm just going to color it up pretty much straight color, no shading, because it's a background. It doesn't need as much detail for this situation. It's just more of a frame of a window. Okay. Okay, I got the frame of the window done, and now I'm trying to pick a color to go for the background around the clock, behind the words, next to them, and I want something really light and really cool. So far I really like this Morning Dew number 532 of the Blick Studio brush tip markers. I'm now going to look into my Olos and see if there's another color. That one I think is a little too, I don't know what. We could do gray. I think I want blue. I'm really liking this one so far. That one now as it's drying, I'm liking it too. I've got the green here in the middle of the frame of the window. That's what that green is. And then I'm trying to choose something that works with it and works in our analogous color scheme. I want it to feel very soothing so that when we add the fireworks it'll really add a pop. And I'm kind of tired of coloring large spaces with color pencils, so that's why I've decided to break my own rule and go for a marker. Now that one is hardly a difference at all once we go up one. That's pretty dark. I'm liking this other one. I think I like it. Let's see if cool gray. No, I don't like cool gray. I just want it to feel like it belongs in this world, but it's super duper light. That's what I want. So we're going to go for a cheater ingredient. Let's go like that and put 532. So what would I do if I didn't have this one? Morning Dew. I would pick the lightest color that you have in your alcohol marker stash of these colors, of the cool colors, whichever one you want. You could do a blue green, blue, or blue violet, and that would give you a good background that wouldn't take attention away. Blick Studio. Marker. Or go into your own stash. Maybe you have some Ohuhus or Copics or your own set of Blick Studio markers and use one of those. And I'm going to use the chisel for the most part here to fill this in. And I'm going to stay in between the lines and just fill it in. Nice and slow. This is color pencil paper, so it's quite thirsty when it comes to markers, but I think it should work good. Okay, so I'm just going to run around and color the background now. Alright, I love my choice. I feel like it's looking really good. I'm going to use the same aqua green that we used on the picture frame to add some color to the lettering. So in these little drop shadows that the illustration has, I'm just going to add with heavy pressure some details here to make it match the color scheme even more. Okay, and then as far as this clock goes, I want to color the circles around here with the same as the fireworks, and then the center of this, maybe it needs to be this color in light, if I just do it really light. Okay, I'm going to color this in just like this with light pressure, and I'll come back and add some shading to it. Okay, now I'm taking the same pencil, we're working with aqua green, and using some really heavy pressure right at the edge of the face to get rid of all the white, and then transitioning to the lighter pressure in the center of the clock. I'm going to do that all the way around. Heavy pressure, transitioning to lighter pressure. Again, be careful not to rub your hand on your coloring below. Alright, it's firework time. For this, I've grabbed my liquid acrylic Pearlescent Daler-Rowney paints, and these need some good shaking if it's been a while since you've used them. And that looks better. So I grabbed two colors, Sun Orange, number 121, and Mazuma Gold. So let's see what those look like on our sample page here. There's one. Yes, I should have done it up here, huh? There. And here's two, and hopefully there's enough contrast between the two. I don't know, maybe some red would be good too. Let's write down these names. You could use gel pens too, but I wanted to use these today. Sun Orange and Mazuma Gold. I gave away a full set of these a couple years ago to someone else. I hope they're enjoying them as much as I enjoy mine. I don't pull them out enough. Let me grab a red. Alright, I found a red. This one's called Hot Mama Red, and I'm going to write down on here for you what these are. They're by Daler-Rowney, that's the brand, and they are FW Pearlescent Liquid Acrylic. Oh, I spelled acrylic so wrong. I added two C's at the end. But let me move them in the light so you can see how shiny those are. So pretty. Okay. So now we're going to create fireworks. So I'm going to grab a little piece of paper here and use it as my palette. Put a little bit of Hot Mama Red and some sun orange. And some Mama Gold. Not Mama Gold, Mazuma Gold. Okay. Now this one here is our most orangey, the sun orange. I'm going to use those up here, and I'm hoping we can go every other dot and then come in with that Mazuma Gold in between. So I will fast forward. I'm using a very small, this is actually a kid's paintbrush. It's a round, probably around 2, size 2. It's an all-purpose brush, so it's not my good watercolor brushes. So if I can't get it washed out for some reason, it won't hurt it. Okay, time lapse. All right, we're going to create the firework effect now. We could look back at the original illustration to kind of help us, or just wing it. And I think I'm going to just wing it. I'm using these dot tools that you use for dot painting with acrylics and on nail polish on fingers. So I'm using just a ball that's about that big, and on the other end is a teeny tiny ball. So I think between those two, I should be able to create a good effect. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. What effect do I want? I think there was one here too, so I'm going to make a nice big dot with the gold. Okay, clean that off. And now little dots around it. I think that's what I want to do. We had lines coming out like this. I like that better than the dots. I'm going to remove the dots. Yep, there we go. Okay, and in between, or out at the other end, we'll have the dots. Okay, just keep building up little fireworks. All right, it is all done. Let me move it up just a little bit so you can see. Oh, you can't see the whole thing. Let's go this direction. There, now you can see the whole thing. And look at our fireworks. So fun. I am loving it. Steve, would you like to come over and see how it turned out? So fun. Do you see my
really
fireworks?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's really cute.
What do you think of our color scheme? We did an analogous complementary color scheme.
I especially like it.
Do you?
Of
I
course,
guess
like
it's your
blue-green,
colors.
but yeah.
Yeah, lots of blue green in
Yeah,
this
and
one.
that violet in there is so pretty.
It turned out really fun, I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of it. All right, now that the piece is done, I can reveal to you that this took about 3 hours in real time for me to color this. And I'm pretty pleased with that. That's a pretty decent amount of time. Not too long, not too short. It's about what I average when I do a coloring page that's about this detailed. So yeah, I really like it. Are there things I would do differently? For sure. One of them is what I've already mentioned to you during this color along, is I would have used a black marker instead of black color pencil for the windows. I think that would have made adding gel pen on top of it a lot easier. But because I did the acrylic paint, which can go on top of almost anything, it didn't affect that firework effect that I wanted so much. Really like it. Oh, and I love the color scheme. I wouldn't change the color scheme. Their skin tones, I do prefer the rosier skin tone over the cooler skin tone, but both look good. Yeah, I'm really pleased with their gray hair, and I really like how it turned out. I wish my printer hadn't done a little blurb right there with ink, but I can just hack that off and it'll be gone. So really happy with it. Don't forget when you're done with your coloring page that you put your name and your date on it so that you can keep track of your progress as you learn new coloring skills and try new things. And then I wrote down here in the corner that I was using Kalour pencils. Now, speaking of Kalour pencils, we're at the part of this video where I need to give my final thoughts on these pencils. Let me bring the case up here. Has some empty spots in it now because of our project that I just finished coloring, but that doesn't matter. How do I feel about Kalour pencils? Will I run out and buy the big 300 set? That's the question. I think for this price range, these are great pencils. I had one pencil break during the coloring, and that was frustrating, but I was able to sharpen it up and keep using it. There are a lot of pencils in this set right here that are off-centered, and some of them are just slightly off-centered and some of them are really off-centered, and that is difficult when you need to sharpen or you're coloring. You have to sharpen more often and be extra careful how you sharpen it so that you can use those pencils efficiently. So I don't like that. I don't believe their little system of marking whether it's light fast or not, but in the hobby world, it doesn't matter. My little coloring page that I just finished is just going to go on the fridge for a little while, and then it'll go into a sheet protector and into a binder. So I don't really care about the light fastness rating in this price range. Does it compare to like Prismacolor or Faber-Castell or Caran d'Ache? Of course not. These pencils are way cheaper. They're cheaper in all the meanings of the word. They aren't printed as nicely. There are little areas where some of the printing isn't quite right. They're off-centered, but they're cheap. So for just a little bit of money, you're into a set of pencils. Like I said, I got my set for $19. Sometimes cases like these cost $19, so it's like getting pencils for free. So I'm quite pleased with them. Am I going to run out and buy the 300 set? I don't think so. I don't think I need them. Even at $50, I don't think I need them. Unless all of you comment below that I need them and we need to do a big Blick, system built around the Kalour pencils. I'm really happy though with my little 72 set. This would be a perfect set to pull out and share with my nieces and nephews and not have to worry about them abusing the pencils. So I'm quite pleased, and I'm glad I got the one with the case. So they're all in a nice order now, and they're safe and protected and ready for me to use anytime I want. So that's the story behind Kalour. I think it's a good value at 19 bucks, or let's see, right now it's $26. Maybe wait a little while and see if that $26 comes down a little bit for this set. Or, you know, go, what do they say, go full hog and get the 300.
Full hog.
Isn't that a saying?
I don't know, but I've heard that.
Comment below, is that a saying or did I just make up something? The 300 set in a tin would be awesome, but that's 300 pencils in a tin. You're going to need a case. So the case may be just as expensive as the 300 pencils, but I would get a case so that you can organize them. You know, like that was the first thing I did, was dive in and reorganize these pencils so that they would fit my needs. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with them for what they are, a budget friendly, lots of fun colors, fun Chinese set of pencils. So anyway, that's my feelings on Kalour. Hope you enjoyed this real-time color along as well. I know it made this video super long, and I'm guessing we're not going to get too many views here on YouTube, but I always hear in the coloring groups on Facebook that you're looking for some color alongs, and so I wanted to do this one as a color along. Again, for free for all of you, plus also to give you a taste of what you can get if you come over to coloringbliss.com and become a paid member there. You'll get access to color alongs just like this, resources, other workshops. It's a wealth of information waiting for you that has been built over years and years to create a good resource for colorists. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a really great new year, and I'll see you in 2024. Have a wonderful, colorful, blissful day. Bye-bye, everyone.